I was born in Venezuela to a very rich father, but unfortunately, before I was born, my parents had separated. So my older brother lived with my mother and I lived with my father. He already had another wife, a German lady, Milka, so I actually lived with my father and his other wife, and that was really quite challenging. And at the age of 6, my mother somehow arrived at the house and said, did I want to see my brother? And of course I wanted to see my brother. And before I knew it, I was at an airport being flown to England. And I loved my father, and I said to my mother, is Papi is in Spanish, father, is Papi coming? And she said, oh yes, he's coming. And he never did. It was a lie. She was literally just taking me away from Venezuela to England. And arriving in England, it was very difficult because all I spoke was Spanish. I couldn't speak any English whatsoever.
How was it? How did it feel for you as a child, arriving to a new country, leaving behind your family, your part of your family, your dad, your friends, the place you called home, and the language?
Interestingly enough, even though I spoke no English, I got sent to the local primary school, and they couldn't cope with a Spanish-speaking child because they weren't set up for it. So the only way I got taught English was to, in those days, 1972, the technology wasn't what it is now. So there would be a big pool tape recorder and a book, and I would read the words in the book, and with my headphones I would hear what the words were in English. And this is how I learned English. So I didn't learn what a verb was, a pronoun was, and in fact later on in life, when I was trying to learn French and German, the teacher would say put the verb before the adverb, before the pronoun, and I'd be going, miss, what's that? What's a pronoun? What's a verb? Didn't have a clue. Well, I just learnt English from the playground, talking to children, and literally from reading from the book.
How does a child feel when all of a sudden they are taken away from everything? You were happy that you had new friends and you had children to play with. What about the language part? How was it? Do you remember how it was at the beginning when you still struggled to express your feelings, say what you wanted, where you wanted to go, what you wanted to do?
I think because I was so young, I mean at 7 years old, children instinctively understand each other without language. I think if you move to a foreign country when you're older, once you're in your 20s, 30s, that human instinct has got a bit diluted, and it could be quite frustrating because culturally you think you're saying one thing, but in that country actually you're saying something quite different. So you would get really upset that people misunderstood you or misunderstood what you were trying to convey. But as a child, it's really quite basic. You're kind of almost at the animal stage where people actually understand you even though you can't speak the same language. People get you.
I thought it would be so great if we could talk about your experiences from an adult perspective, because there are so many children, so many families where they are in the situation similar to yours, when it comes to all of a sudden leaving the place of birth and coming to another country and trying to learn another language from the age of 5, 7, 10, 13. So I was wondering, as an adult, how do you see this experience when it comes to your results at school? It's easy for a child to learn another language, so much easier than for an adult. Nevertheless, one thing is just everyday communication, and the other thing is learning at school, comprehension of maths, history, biology, geography. So how did you find this experience?
I think I was young enough at 6 years old. If I'd have come into England at a much later age, I think it would have been quite challenging. But at a young age, you have enough time to catch up with everything. I was really quite a bright child, so academically at school it just caused me no problem with any of my subjects.
I know that lots of parents are worried about that, so it's great to hear your reassuring words.
In many ways it's an advantage because you've got knowledge that other children haven't got. They've only ever been in England and they don't have this wider experience and knowledge, and people find you interesting because you are different to everyone else, and it's good to be different in many respects because people find you interesting.
Do you have any advice for the parents? What to do? How to perhaps prepare a child for an experience like that? Again, you saying this from an adult perspective.
I think the only thing I could say is just teach your child just to smile and enjoy it and embrace. Get the child to believe it's an adventure. Don't think of it as a negative, but just think of it as an adventure and something new in your life. Yeah, I think positivity has got to be part of it, otherwise it can be quite daunting. Going into an environment of a new school, new environment, you don't speak the language very well, the whole thing could be really daunting. But not if you think of it as an adventure. Yeah, just have fun with it. It's a great excuse that you don't have to pass your exams because you don't understand. So actually you're in a better situation than all the kids who can speak the language.
Has this early stage where you felt different when you didn't speak the language of your new home, has it influenced you?
I can probably answer it in a slightly different way, but I can definitely answer the question. I think when someone's come from a foreign country, they've had to learn to adapt. They've had to learn a new culture. They've had to learn a new language. They become much better problem-solving people. In my company, I've employed a lot of foreign people, and they've been much better employees than the English people, because English people never really had any challenges in life. They've never had to find a solution. Whereas when you do come from a foreign country, yeah, everything's different. The food is different, the culture's different, the housing is different. Everything is a challenge. You've got to find a way of fixing things and getting round things. So then in the workplace, they become a great problem shooter. So they don't tend to come to me going, oh, boss, I've got a problem. What do I do? This is one of the things I hate. Whereas a lot of people from foreign countries will come to me and say, right, we have this situation. This has happened and this is what I suggest we do. And foreign people tend to be that proactive far more than English people because they've had to problem solve through their entire lives by changing.
Do you think that experiences like that, different cultures, different languages at an early age, do influence our openness to the world?
The British people 30, 40 years ago wouldn't go off on foreign holidays like they do now. And it opens your eyes when you start mixing with lots of different people from different cultures. It makes you become more adventurous. It makes you actually want to get out the globe and think, yeah, I'll go and visit there because I've got a friend who comes from there. And yeah, it makes the world a far more exciting place and encourages people to travel more. Yes, I think it does.